All right. How's that for a preview? Okay,
That
I
was
see.
fantastic.
Yes, look at that. Look at that beard, baby.
It went so well in rehearsal. What happened, gentlemen?
Oh man, you know
And we're just in
that
front of
live
the
thing.
camera. Look at that beard. Wow, Peter.
I trimmed it, man. I guess we haven't seen one another face to face in a while, apparently.
Yeah, apparently so, but it's looking good though. If you're on
Hello,
that wild
Julius.
man
It's
side.
a little gray, but you know, you got that on me, I have to say. You're full on gray, man.
Oh man, it would be even worse if I put up my hair on top too, man. I swear. That's all right though. It's all good, man. You look
Julie,
good.
how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm living in abundance. It's another day in paradise. How you guys doing?
All right, man. It's nice to see you again.
Likewise, likewise.
So I wonder what happened to the trailer. I'd love to just get it played because we're recording this and we're going to post the video after the fact.
You're gonna have to
My technical.
You're gonna have to go back and fix it in the mix, man.
Yeah.
Well, we could roll it right now. People won't know the difference.
I assure you, the trailer was longer than that.
Yeah, sure.
Parker and Sarah, if you can fire up the. Oh, here it comes. This is like MST. All right, here we go.
There we go. See, it's Sarah, man. Yeah, that's
our country.
Look at me, I'm on the edge of the vanguard to save the white race.
Guns, ammo, steel-toed Doc Martens, tattooing. Violence was just prerequisite to enter or exit.
Life After Hate was founded by ex-neo-Nazi white supremacists, and they knew that they wanted to help other guys get out.
I can't tell you how many hundreds of people, while they're in the movement, are too afraid to leave.
What really changed me was receiving compassion from the people that I least deserved it from, when I least deserved it.
You've got to find a way to find an affirmation in every discussion, no matter how bad it feels that it's going. It takes guts to do that. This is why the intervention can't rely on my charisma.
We are like the anti-venom to hate, you know what I mean? Because we had that venom in us and we know how to spew it and we know how to also make it an anti-venom.
You should have been so badly broken that there's no way you could come back from this. If you did, so can he.
Right.
Someone in that life who may not be aware that there's a way out, what would you say to them, man?
Let go all the hate, man. That hate ruins you.
You humanized him, which allowed him to humanize you. Like that's not rocket science, but yeah, it's evading the majority of the country right now.
It's a lot of change that you're getting thrown at you right now, you know?
Yeah, a lot. You guys have been lifelines.
And that's why I think
irreplaceable, you know?
We are operating as human beings from one of two places, fear or love. And we get to choose which one that is.
We're here at Crucial Connections with filmmaker Peter Hutchison and Julius Long from the new film Healing from Hate. Wow, what a powerful trailer. What a special time in history of the United States of America to be taking on this subject. Peter, as a white man making this film, talk to us about how this all started. And then let's hear about Julius's introduction to the film.
Well, before I start, I know you lost a dear friend recently, which and I felt, and I know that you talked about this a lot in the top half of the show. I just want to extend my love and my thoughts, to everybody in collaboration. I know you've lost a real crucial friend and member of your community. And I wanted to note that we're dedicating the film to a gentleman named Thomas Engelman, who he's in the preview. Bigger white gentleman, heavy-set tattoos. Just 2 weeks ago, he took his own life as well. And I think it's something that so many people are struggling with, you know, in terms of dealing with the pandemic, and all the, you know, the trials and tribulations that we're seeing and the stresses. But I think it also underscores what's a really important theme and point of the film itself, which is these guys enter the doorway into hate group membership. For a lot of these guys comes from having experienced a lot of personal trauma, struggling with different kinds of mental health issues. And oftentimes it's really, it's this search for a sense of belonging and identity and meaning in their lives that really draws them to these groups. And those same dynamics make it really difficult and really tricky when these guys leave these groups, because they're raw and they need to completely reset their lives and find that sense of identity, belonging, and meaning that they were looking for from the group to begin with. And it in most cases is not the ideology that drives these people into hate group membership. And I think it's a really important piece of this. And it's, and I think, you know, I've listened to Julius talk about how he found these parallels between his friends who found themselves in, you know, in gangs and so quickly was able to understand that the process of getting recruited into a hate group it's really not all that much different than what he saw so many of his friends deal with, getting recruited and pulled into gangs like the Crips and the Bloods. And it's a systemic thing. And it really, I got into this film not to make a film about race. I was interested in making a film about masculinity. And what's one of the things that's been fascinating to me that's come out of this whole experience is how there's a universal masculine psychological need for that belonging and that meaning. And it happens pretty universally at a certain juncture in a young man's life between the ages of 13 and 15. And that's when gang membership happens. That's when hate group recruitment happens. You know, that's when all kinds of shit, like you get pulled into all kinds of scenarios that may not be the healthiest for your personal growth.
Got it.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, and it's interesting because as men, we need to be really vulnerable to each other and supportive of each other right now more than ever. And it's an important muscle to practice. I don't know if you heard about Marcus's microaffections. He's
I heard him talking about microaffections.
Has he sent you any emoji smooches? Because I have not gotten any.
No, I haven't gotten any, man. Smoochies, but I don't send
Nothing.
smoochies, man.
Julius, how are you? Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about your spectacular story that really grabbed the country and our attention, and how that brought you into this powerful new film.
Well, first I would just like to say I'm just fortunate to be a part of this project, the film, and I guess a step forward to changing one day at a time, one person at a time. As we all know, we had Richard Spencer that was coming to Gainesville doing a rally at the University of Florida. And I wanted to actually sit down with Richard, or anybody I could speak with in reference on understanding the way, why did they think maybe that way? And really just to talk to some people to build some dialect, to try to get to know one another. Because I feel that in our life, we suffer and we perish, in Bible tells we perish for a lack of knowledge. And sometimes that comes from just not knowing who we are as a people and not communicating. And even in this pandemic time, we see now how important connection and how important communicating and dealing with one another is to, society. So what I saw that day out there with Randy was reverse racism. Honestly, I saw a guy who was out at a rally where everyone was voicing their opinions on how they felt and which they were entitled to. And the same people that was, preaching, anti-hate and love and, everybody coming together were some of the same people that I saw lash out against Randy, saying negative, derogatory things against Randy. And he was there with a calm look on his face. And I do a lot of things with my granddad, and he kind of lived through that time. He's 88 years old, so I take him to the doctors and stuff. And we just used to talk a lot about, what he went through and what they stood for and, the progression and involvement that they've had and what we've had as Black culture and society in American society. And basically what I just saw was reverse racism. And I wanted to speak with them. And we ended up pretty much getting escorted out the building. And through this, well, not the building, but the part that we were at. And through this experience, I was actually experiencing Black privilege. And it felt a little uncomfortable at the time just because I did not look at Randy as not being Black. I just looked at him going through a situation that I similarly go through with dealing with police and how they treat you due to.
Julius, tell everybody a little more about Randy if they haven't
Randy.
seen the film or they haven't seen the news pieces.
Randy, I met Randy at the rally. Randy is a friend of mine, I can honestly say that, who was a part of the Aryan Brotherhood. And I guess during this time, he was in a transition, I would say. And we made a connection and an unlikely friendship that kind of made him look differently upon maybe his outlook and perspective on what he may perceive from a Black man. And also it made me understand his thought process more on the Aryan Brotherhood, the nation, and just made me understand it more. So Randy and I, we met at this rally, both of us getting kicked out. And through all of that, we formed a relationship. I mean, they were going to send Randy back through the crowd to try to go find his car. And I'm from Gainesville, he's way out of state. So, there was no way that was going to work for him, especially in the situation that he was just in. And Randy and I was like, hey, Jay, you take me your car, man, let's talk. So we're walking down the street, man, and we're just talking first just about things we have in common, just human things. And when we start to, speak more on perspective, I think we were able to listen with an open ear from each other because of the dialogue and that we had built with each other. And just in that little bit of time. And sometimes they say situations put people in certain places and makes us come together as one. And maybe that's what makes this country special as well. Because in a time of turmoil, we would have never thought that, two people could come together to actually engage and build dialogue from there. And we went to the store. I picked Randy up. Randy was thirsty. Went to the store. He went inside and got an energy drink. Got me one as well. And, we just sat back. We talked for a while, took him to his truck. And after that, we took a picture together, just got his phone number. And I invited him out later on to go eat, different things of that nature to kind of get more into the culture. And once Randy, I took him to get some soul food. You know, he took him to, you know, drink like how we drank. We just he got a part of the culture, and he just appreciated it. And nobody looked at him different. Nobody treated him different. Everybody treated him with love and respect. And you know, of course, I'm, you know, fortunate that I'm well respected in my community, so they just embraced him. You know, and it was just an act of just being human, love, just showing love to anyone, no matter what their thoughts are, their opinions are, because you know, yeah, that picture right there, man, that's my guy.
That's the picture right there, yeah.
Yes.
So for those of you that didn't quite get what he was talking about now, do you think Randy had any real connection with other Black men before?
Well, I think he probably have had connections. Maybe connections is one thing, but understanding, I think, is something different. Because from that picture right there, we were two men that had to understand what we were going through in a situation to and it built the bond, you know. And I think that's what made everything special. Randy, of course he's encountered Black people, different people of ethnicity, but I think what made it special was just the situation, and also just the dialogue and how we express love for one another, you know, how we treated one another. It wasn't a color barrier. You know, love doesn't have a color. You know, it's an internal feeling. So it's spiritual. Love is everywhere. So we have to spread love no matter what the face looks like or what the person looks like. Love comes from anyone.
Peter, from, you know, making this film and the time and the conversations that you've cultivated and the huge commitment you've made to exploring healing from hate, what insights can you give us about the state of the white man today? Where are we? What is the opportunity? What is the challenge that guys like you and I that carry around a decent amount of privilege need to be really thinking about in this moment in history?
Well, that's the question everybody's asking right now, isn't it? That's the big question. And I have to say, what I learned most from making this film is the lessons I learned from these gentlemen who all took a part in founding Life After Hate. Guys who all were members of hate groups at different points in time, but found their way out. And then for people who don't know who Life After Hate is or what they do, it's a group of ex-hate group members that now help people exit hate groups. They provide support, they provide outreach to communities that have been impacted by different kinds of hate crimes, intolerance, and they have a very special way of working. Their emphasis is on compassion. And there's three things that that I heard time and time again, which were keys to healing, and that's compassion, curiosity, and courage. And I really try and hold on to those ideas. Always keeping compassion in mind, regardless of who you're speaking with. Always being curious, genuinely curious about the other individual, despite whatever, I think Julius, in a way, really just, he epitomizes this spirit in, he had a genuine curiosity when it came to Randy. He really wanted to know who this dude was. Why did he think the way he did? What made him tick? And I think white men, white people need to have that genuine kind of curiosity right now. They need to ask questions to understand other people's experience who aren't like them. A genuine curiosity. And I think that's where understanding and connection comes from. people know when you're genuinely curious and you're just asking a question to be nice. And I think having that really authentic curiosity, it can change everything. I mean, that's what's key to, any truly human interaction. And that's what people pay to go to a therapist for, I mean, we all need that. And the other piece is courage. You've got to have the courage to step out of your comfort zone. You have to have the courage to take chances. You have to have the courage to fail. And I found that those three fundamental principles really go a long way in terms of kind of just developing some kind of lens to think about things differently right now.
And how about our friends at Life After Hate? They just secured a $750,000 grant.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a really fascinating story because, for those who are in the know and have any context for this group of individuals, I mean, they were granted a similar grant back prior to the Trump administration walking into the White House. The Obama administration had granted them, I believe it was a $400,000 or $500,000 grant. And these guys had worked for years. This wasn't their livelihood. I mean, they had created this organization just out of their own, sweat and string and Scotch tape, and they all had other jobs, but this was the thing that they really felt strongly about and worked hard to make happen. And when Trump came into office and took the focus of all DHS violent extremism, took it all off of any focus in terms of domestic terrorism and decided to place it all on international and primarily Muslim and Arab, terrorism, it pulled the rug right out from under these guys. And it sent a very clear message, among many others, I think, what the Trump administration's focus was. Where their policies were headed.
We have to give a shout out to our dear friend, brother, board of director here at Collaborative Action, Sammy Rangel, the executive director of Life After Hate, who I know is featured in the film as well and is really a walking, living, breathing metaphor for transformation and hope. If you don't know about Sammy's story, he's got an amazing TED Talk you can watch. And Peter and I were there. We were there, Peter.
That's right.
When Forrest Whitaker gave Sammy a global medal of hope, there was kings and queens and dignitaries, and then Peter and I and Queen Sandra herself. And Sammy's a special, special man, and got to give him a lot of credit for the organizational growth and development that he has been pushing at Life After Hate. I'm so happy to hear that they've gotten this large grant.
Yeah, that goes without saying. And Sammy, he features quite prominently in the film. He has one of the most remarkable stories I've ever heard in my life. He really does.
He's been on the show. If you go to our archives and look up the Sammy Rangel show, be ready to cry. He's a teddy bear of power, and his story is incredible. If you are in our Zoom room or on the Facebook stream or YouTube stream and you have a question for Julius or Peter, or want to add something to the conversation, please let us know. If you're in the Zoom room, you want to come on camera, we dare you. Marcus, you must have a few interesting things to say, questions asked. You've been around this subject of systemic racism for quite a while, and you're a fellow Floridian. You and Julius got some orange grapefruit juice to share together.
got some gator and some snake.
Oh man, I'm a rattler now. I'm a rattler now.
Yeah, I'm saying, them gators and those snakes, they'll do it.
Yes, sir.
So I'm a couple things. This is a bit of a pivot. I just want to just check in with you, Jay. Akashic
Studios. Akashic Studios, yes.
Yeah, Akashic.
Yes.
Akashic Studios.
The one mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You pull that one deep out of the black, kind of thing, if I can put it that way. So how does that worldview inform your curiosity and compassion for one like, oh boy,
one like mine? Well, it's all about harmony and frequency. I'm a vibrational guy. Vibes, good vibes.
That's explained. That sound current, baby. Come on.
And I'm an entertainer, so I deal with a lot with music, and basically what I learned, especially dealing with people and energies, is energy is transferable. So you can transfer good energy to anywhere. And once somebody knows who you are as a person, energy-wise, because I was always taught to be a light and be a vessel, to be able to open up. And if we were able to have people to open up their minds, open up the way that we think, open up the way that our perspectives, the way that we look at things, we could then more become harmonious on where we could go in life. We can be more as one because we can understand each other's perspective, backgrounds, which help mold people, and I think that's what it's all about, being on one accord. So the Akashic mind, to be on one development, and in music, we all have the same dreams, we all have the same goals. We might come from different places, but we're going towards something. Even in the way that we live in life, from politics to what we want as a people, culture, communities, we all have a way of thinking and what we want. And if we're on one accord, we can move as one, so that's just kind of, how it ties in, with the energy, the mindset, and just how we do things.
So I'm so glad you answered that question that way, because it allows me to make a point not at the level of group identity, not your identity or my identity, but our group identity as Black men. Like that ethos that you just spoke is kind of like source code on deep, soulful, aware Blackness, right? And so I'm saying to Peter and to Anthony, as brothers who live in the world as white men, that as to a group thing, not to you individually, but to you as a group, when the white man group gives up the privilege of oppressing or keeping other groups structurally or systemically down, what you get is a partner like that out of it, to create a world that wasn't gonna happen anyhow, given the pace we're on now. But if we gave it up, like say, I'm just gonna be with whatever world we can create where your light can shine as brightly as any other light, and so can mine, and we are in this together to create more light. If you could do what the United States has done since 1619 with a broken system like the one we got, just imagine what we would create together, group to group. Can you hear that communication? I invite that everyone into that dance.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic analogy.
Go ahead, Peter.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's a fantastic analogy.
Well, and for me, what white men need to embrace is the concept that helping other people, sharing your privilege and helping other people with less privilege find opportunities for growth and love. It's not going to hurt you. It's not a net zero sum game. I mean, white men have a lot to gain by helping people that have been historically oppressed. Our children have a lot to gain. Our neighborhoods have a lot to gain. Our schools have a lot to gain. Our cities have a lot to gain. Our country, in the body, when a group of cells hoards resources, we call that cancer. And white men need to stop hoarding resources. It'll help the whole body, and the body will be stronger, and we will get all kinds of wonderful karmic returns and direct pocketbook health based benefits. Peter, am I off my rocker?
You are, but not on this point.
That was a trick question, and you passed. So you get another invite back.
One of the things that, just to bring this all back around, I think, which is valuable, is in the film you clearly see these men's journeys, and what you discover on a personal level is that no individual is irredeemable. I mean, these guys have done some of the most just, it boggles my mind that these men who I now consider my friends could have perpetrated the kind of heinous acts that they did over the course of their lives. But there's this very important lesson, I think, that no individual is irredeemable. And if you look at then you take that to a systemic level, there's no reason for us to believe that any system is irredeemable, that any nation is irredeemable, that any culture is irredeemable. And I think that's a very, very important lesson to take away, that this is all within our power to change, understanding, some fundamental tenets like all power strives to preserve the structures that support it. That's kind of a universal physical truth. So it takes some enlightenment. It takes some work. It takes pushing some people out of their assumptions or even their lack of willingness to say push back against things. But I do think that there's a very, very valuable lesson that no nation or system is irredeemable. It's up to us to lean into and impact, to affect.
Wow. You
I agree.
That word, Jay, if I could just spit this out, I'll get out of your way. I'm gonna get 2 spits.
What do you think?
Redemption. That word redemption, to redeem, to deem it again, right? To take the highest energies and bring it into the experience and wrap that all around with love, make a big D out of that, right? That redemption, to redeem, is to bring back from that which was lost, to grant value to that which has been deprived of its value, to grant being. When my group as a group grants being to your group as a group, then we can be with each other. The being with allows us to be more than the sum of adding us together. Can you hear that? That something else becomes available in the redemptive process. And no individual, group, or global sin is irredeemable. You know, that's kind of like the framework of the whole makeup, you know, of the thing. So I just pull that out to say, you understand the word redemption. Redemption speaks truth, reconciliation, and healing. And that's like a pointing away. Jay, I'm sorry I took 10 spits.
Oh man, you all right. You all right. You're right. Redemption is something big. One thing I look at a word in America that we need. America actually kind of needs more of a therapy session, you know, to kind of sit down with each other and have lunch with different dialogues. And I think the word that I look at is ability. And ability means so much. And it spews off to so many different things. See, we have ability in America. We have the ability to be the greatest country in America, which in the world, which we are. We have the ability to actually bring this country together from being segregated to desegregated. We have the ability to stand as one. When the country falls, we come together as one. We have the ability. So with ability, sometimes there's certain words that may have to come in before that. It may be responsibility, because in America, we have a responsibility to be a country as one, a country that stands for what's right, the home of the free, the land. This is what we're here for. So if we're in America, we have accountability to be able to say, we have to be accountable for our actions, the things that we've done, whether it's in the past, and we can say, okay, some things may have been done in the past that were right then and affected people now. Let's get past that and see what we can do to understand where people are as a culture, as a community, mentally, their mental state, their financial state, their emotional state, because we just can't try to understand one side of a person. Even in therapy, I think we deal with more than one side of an individual. You don't have to know the emotional side. You have to know, you know, the physical side. You have to know the mental side. You have to know the spiritual side of where people are. And you have to be able to identify that and mold that and see, okay, these people are hurting in what areas, or these people need healing here, because that's all it is. We just have to fill those voids and those gaps with love and with healing. And I think that comes from understanding, comes from communicating. And we have the ability to do that here in America. And we just need to take the step forward to sit down with each other and have a coffee with people who think to a Richard Spencer, to a Louis Farrakhan, to different people, because everybody has their own way of thinking, which is not a wrong thing, but how can we coexist with each other? What do we stand for together? You know, and I think that's what we have the ability in America to do, to say, hey, it's okay that you're different. You feel some way that you feel. You like your favorite team. You like your favorite school. It's normal, but what can we do to make this place better, to coexist with each other? Because we have the ability to do that. That's what love brings. That's what it opens the door for.
Julius, I think that's right. And I think, again, you know, this story that you tell of meeting Randy, I think it really underscores this idea of the importance of compassion and curiosity and courage that I was talking about before. Because, you know, Anthony asked you this question: do you think Randy, you know, had a lot of experience with people of other color? And Randy and his family are from Idaho. Idaho is not known for its diversity. What Idaho is known for is being a hotbed of white supremacy and right-wing white nationalism. And these two things do not operate independently of one another. When I'm a firm believer that when we don't interact with people who are different from us, we will continue to see them as other. Mm-hmm. And the longer we go without interacting with them, the more we may start to see them as other. And I think, you know, Julius, what you're talking about, sit down, having lunch, having coffee with someone who's different from you, getting to know them, being genuinely curious about them, like that's That's a really big piece of this, and it sounds very simple, but I think it's a fundamental part of this.
I agree.
Connection.
I agree. One thing I can say, I think, is more leadership. We have to take action in America. That's the ability to move forward, to say, okay, these are the things that need to go forward. So how do we go about them? And going about them literally is just taking the time and the ability to move forward. Just like with the situation with Randy, I saw opportunity. I saw something different, and I wanted to know more. I was really curious because I want to understand, and understanding Randy, and as we spoke earlier about his interactions, and even understanding more about the brotherhood. It wasn't really even an African American thing with him. You know, they, like you say, in Idaho, there wasn't a lot of blacks. It's more Mexicans. You know, so the whole black, he just really his interactions with blacks weren't as in depth. And I think that's what America needs to understand, because I think we interact with all people. We don't know who someone may be under their shell or out of their clothes,
right? But we don't. But we don't interact with them the way that you interacted with Randy. That's the difference.
That's true. But on the documentary, it was also another guy that worked for the Jewish guy, and
that's
he worked for him, and
Frankie,
Frankie. He went from 3 days to 6 months, and it may have took 60 minutes with Randy in a different light, but it took him 6 months to take off his boots.
That's right.
You know,
this is Frankie Mink, by the way, also a member of Life After Hate, one of the founding members, and he's the guy upon whom the film American History X is loosely based.
And that was profound to me when I saw it, and it took him 6 months. So no one has a time limit, and we never know what moment may define that. So we have to just take it from there and just do our part as humans and be a vessel to where we can just strive, because we also never know who's looking.
Yeah.
You know, it might not even be for Randy or for me in that situation. And I wasn't looking at what the impact it would have, you know, afterwards. I was just looking at a guy, and I saw reverse racism, and he was standing for something. And I wanted to speak with him to understand why he stood for that and see what is it that we have in common? What is it that we differ about? How is it that we can make a change? What are 3 things that we can agree on that we do like?
Well,
you
Julius,
know, these are the things.
Reverse racism doesn't exist, but we'll save that for another show. Because racism is systemic, so one person can't hold racism against another. But it was so great to have you guys, that's just my opinion, on the show, joining us. Peter, thank you for making these important, smart, artistic, and social justice minded films. Peter's with Big Ten Productions. They have a whole slew of really great films, and it's really important that we rally and support around media companies that are willing to make smart, high quality content around really important issues. How can people support this film, learn more about what's happening at Big Tent? Maybe, you know, a lot of people watch this episode after we film it. So if they find this, what should they know? How can they support the work that you're making?
Right now, I think the most important thing is, you know, find us on Facebook, find us on our website. Go to Healing from Hate Film on Facebook. Go to Healing from Hate Film on a website. Our film is in the middle of a nationwide virtual screening tour this fall of 2020, straight through the election season and beyond. We're working on coordinating a big Chicago screening, and we're hoping that's going to happen sometime in mid-October. And as we roll out across the country, the film will be available in different cities, different regions at different times. So, you know, check in on our Facebook page. There will be updates for where those screenings are and where you can catch the film. And then we will release digitally worldwide. January 1st will be available on all digital platforms. But for now, through the fall, the only way to catch the film is through one of these sort of exclusive virtual screenings.
Let's all make sure to do that. Thank you both so much for joining us. Julius, hope to see you up in here in Chicago one of these days. We got a great town to show you around when you're up here. And Peter, are you filming from your son's bedroom? Is that what that is?
Did Sarah tell you that?
No, I stayed there. I stayed in your house.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You know this room. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
my
right.
Daughter,
your daughter's staying. Yeah.
It's my daughter's 13th. It's Stella's 13th birthday today. She just turned 13.
That's today. Oh, you gotta
Yeah.
tell her happy birthday. We kept up the story that she drew on that whiteboard for like 2 years. It was so awesome.
Nice. Well,
I did everything I could to try and block this out so you couldn't tell it was an 11-year-old's bedroom. But
yeah. I waited till the end. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work, guys. And you always got a home here at Clever Action. I look forward to the next chapter of our ongoing epic novel.
Likewise. And Julius, thank you so much for hopping on such short notice. I just thought that, you would be such an asset to this conversation.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And I'm really glad you joined. It's so good to see you again. And I'm sure we're going to be doing more of this throughout the fall.
Likewise, I appreciate you guys for having me. And like I said, I also will take you guys up on coming up to Chicago. I live on the road. I'm an entertainer, so I'm always on tour and moving around.
Well, you come on up here and we'll show you how it go over here.
I gotta warn you, Julius. I gotta warn you, Julius. This man plays a mean guitar. He's doesn't talk about it much, but he can shred. He can burn it up, man.
Yeah, talk about ability. He's got a capability on that guitar.
So that's a great way to wrap that up, because the compassion, the courage, the communication was that other C?
Compassion, curiosity, and courage.
Yeah. With ability. Okay, those abilities, all of those things got wrapped up in that word. I love that. Thank you for that, J Long. And the redemption of ourselves, of our group, of our belonging to each other. You redeem our city of Chicago, redeem our nation. For all the stuff we did and didn't do, all the stuff that we hurt ourselves over, and continue to hurt ourselves over. That it's possible. Peter, you're right, man. Nothing's irredeemable if we want it. We can do it. So that's our 12th episode, man. Wow, look at that.
Wow. Thank you both. We'll be back on the third Thursday of every month. So we hope to see you on October 15th, where we'll be doing a preview of We Still Dream and our Peace Book Festival, which will be premiering on October 17th. Go to collaboraction.org. Sign up to be a part of that premiere on October 17th.
Yeah, and thanks again to our sponsors. And if you want to see more of our programming, please consider a donation of any amount at collaboraction.org, or become a monthly contributor for as little as $5 a month. And we'd love to get a whole bunch of those. So join us if you will, and become a part of the tribe.
That's our show. Thank you for joining us on Crucial Connections, where we are hyper local, thinking global. And if you think of someone that might need your support right now, or somebody that you haven't heard from, reach out and give them a call, connect with them. That's what this show is really all about, those crucial connections. As our friend and collaborator, Sir Taylor, would say, even if the worst thing possible, the worst thing you can imagine happened to you, it's still the best day ever if you're still alive. So while we have this gift, let's make sure we share it and connect with each other, share the love, pick each other up. And, if someone doesn't answer the call, figure out a way to show up in their life and let them know that you care. We care about you. We're grateful for our guests tonight, Dr. Christina Peterson, Julius Long, Peter Hutchison. We have a bunch of great friends like Carolyn Herdeman, David Cherry, Rachel, Laura, Mary Kay, Stephen, Jim, who joined us in the Zoom room tonight. Everybody on Facebook, we see you. We love you. We'll see you next time. We are crucially connected. Don't you forget it.
Good night.
Peace.